Discover the heartwarming moment when a single dad transformed a female CEO's wedding experience. The sun poured through the trees, spilling warmth over Jake's backyard where he flipped burgers, the smell of grilled meat mingling with the laughter of his 9-year-old daughter, Lily. Life may not have been easy, but as a single dad, every joy mattered, especially when it came to making Lily smile. Yet, on this otherwise ordinary Saturday morning, everything was about to change. As Jake placed a perfectly toasted bun on the plate, a wild flurry of movement caught his eye. Suddenly, Claire, the new neighbor, a high-powered CEO, landed in his yard, uproariously announcing, "I'm so sorry." She stumbled over a garden gnome, sending it crashing to the ground. Laughter erupted between Jake and Lily, cutting through the morning stillness like a refreshing breeze. For a moment, the whole world faded. There was just Claire, splayed out amidst a sea of fallen flowers, smiles, and shared humanity. Lily giggled uncontrollably. "Can we keep her, Dad?" she chirped, eyes wide with curiosity. In that instant, the barriers built by wealth and ambition blurred, revealing a shared vulnerability. Wasn't it perfect? This powerful woman who seemed to have it all had turned into a comedic figure, humbled in a stranger's yard. As Claire picked herself up, a flush crossed her cheeks. "I thought I'd take a shortcut, and well, here we are," she chuckled. Jake saw something in her eyes. Stress, perhaps? This was more than just a neighborly mishap, it opened a door to a lifetime of expectations crashing together. Claire was prepping for a wedding that felt more like a corporate meeting than a celebration of love. Immediately, he wanted to reach out and help. "Let me fire up the grill again." "Nothing beats a good barbecue when life throws curveballs," Jake offered, as laughter filled the air once more, the initial awkwardness dissipating like morning fog. Over burgers and potato salad, Claire revealed her worries about her upcoming wedding, the extensive plans, the demand for perfection, and the weight of societal pressures. "That's tough," Jake murmured, memories of raising Lily flooding his mind. He realized right then and there, amidst the laughter and shared food, that their worlds were not as different as they seemed. They were both stuck navigating the rough waters of love and expectations, just on different shores. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With newfound camaraderie, Claire invited Jake to lend a hand with her wedding planning. What started as chaos in his backyard grew into a partnership, diving headfirst into flower arrangements and cake tasting. As they struggled to harmonize the extravagant with the simple, the divide in their worlds began to shrink, a delicate dance fueled by understanding, laughter, and a pinch of creative chaos. Yet as the wedding approached, an unexpected storm brewed. With flowers wilting and the caterer backing out, both Jake and Claire felt the weight of discontent rise. Was this wedding meant to showcase excess or highlight the love and stories that grounded them? As they confronted their starkly different views on happiness and success, a misunderstanding threatened to unravel it all, leaving Jake grappling with the question, could they truly redefine love and connection together? The days turned into a blur as the wedding approached, and the atmosphere was thick with anxiety. Claire paced in her elegant office, frustration bubbling beneath her composed exterior. The chaos of miscommunication had created a rift. Just yesterday, Jake had suggested a more relaxed approach to the wedding, while Claire insisted on upholding traditions. The vision they were building had started splintering, the laughter replaced with tension. Her phone buzzed. It was Jake, a simple message, "Can we talk?" With hesitant fingers, she dialed his number. "Hey, Jake. Claire, I think we need to meet. Things have gotten a bit complicated." His voice trailed off, embodying the way he felt. "Yeah, I've been feeling that too. How about my place? I can make some coffee." "Sounds good." When they met later that afternoon, the sun was golden against the windows of Claire's sprawling home. The tension felt even heavier in person. She prepared coffee while Jake settled into a plush chair. The aroma swirled around them, but none of it could ease the unease that built up like thunderstorm clouds outside. "Listen, I don't want this to turn into a disaster," Claire began, biting her lip. "But every time I suggest something, It seems like you have a completely different view, and I'm starting to question if we can pull this off. I think we must remember why we started this, Jake countered, crossing his arms. It's about your happiness, Claire, not just the event. His words hung in the air like a delicate truth. She could see his genuine concern, the way he leaned forward as if the weight of her happiness rested on his shoulders too. I wanted this to be perfect, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. But it's turning into something I can't control. And I don't even know if I want to marry this guy. The floodgates opened. The bright, ambitious CEO seemed so distant compared to the woman sitting before Jake now, raw and exposed. She felt like a stranger to herself. The plans, the expectations, it all blurred into a haze of anxiety she couldn't shake. Maybe we should start over, Jake said, his calm nature like a lifeline. Forget the grandiose ideas. Let us focus on what really matters, what feels right for you and what makes you happy. She looked at him, surprised by the corners of her mouth twitching into a smile. You really think we can? I know we can. Just remember, weddings don't define love, love does. In that moment, Jake's sincerity illuminated Claire's swirling confusion. They sat together, a duo against all the pressures that threatened to drown them. Maybe this wedding was merely a stepping stone, a way to uncover deeper truths about what they truly wanted, not just from the marriage but from each other. As they laughed over old wedding traditions and made goofy plans, a newfound sense of ease washed over Claire. They were a team, a creative duo redefining what this day could mean. But just as laughter filled the room, a notification pinged, breaking their moment of connection. Claire glanced at her phone. It was her fiancé, demanding to know why she hadn't shared the details of the wedding plans. Her heart sank, the pressure resurfacing. Jake, she faltered, glancing back at the phone. What if I lose everything? The plans, the expectations, if I don't. Sometimes you have to let go of the perfect vision to see the real picture, he said, his eyes warm and encouraging. She hesitated, her heart racing at the thought of confronting her fiancé. Could she really do it? A storm of emotions raged within her as clarity started to form. You're right, she whispered, determination igniting something deep inside her. I need to be true to myself. As they left the conversation off, Claire felt a shift, a commitment not just to a wedding but to her own happiness. With renewed strength, she glanced at Jake, both unsure yet excited about the next steps, but just then, there was a knock on the door. Jake looked up, curiosity dancing in his eyes. Who could it be? For Claire, her heart pounded all over again, sensing that this moment might lead to a decision. That could change everything. Claire took a deep breath, her pulse quickening as she exchanged glances with Jake. The knock was firm, almost impatient. Were they ready for this? Despite the fleeting moments of laughter, the weight of everything was still there, hanging heavily in the air like a forgotten promise. Should I? Claire started to ask, but her question trailed off as she made her way towards the door. Anxiety danced around her stomach, nerves fluttering like butterflies. She hesitated just long enough for another knock to echo through the room. Go ahead, Jake encouraged gently, leaning forward in his chair. It's probably about the wedding. You can handle this. Claire nodded, steeling herself. With a determined hand, she opened the door. Standing there was a familiar face, Megan, her fiancé's sister, and someone she hadn't expected to see today. Just the sight of her made Claire's heart thud against her chest. Megan, Claire said, trying to place the emotions swirling in the pit of her stomach. What brings you here? Megan's smile was friendly but cautious. Hey, Claire. I need to talk to you about. She paused, glancing back over her shoulder as if to ensure no one overheard. About the wedding plans. Claire's instincts kicked in. Had her fiancé sent her to rein Claire in? Did he need to control the situation again? Sure, Claire said, stepping aside to invite her in. Come on in. Megan stepped inside, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. Her smile faltered for a moment as she took in the tension that lingered. Everything okay? Jake was silent but attentive, and Claire felt his calming presence beside her, ready to support her regardless of what was about to unfold. We're working through some things, Claire said vaguely. Megan's brow furrowed. I wanted to reach out because I'm a little worried. Max seems stressed about the wedding. He thinks you're overwhelmed. Claire stiffened at the mention of her ex-fiancé? How could she even label it now? I guess he is not wrong, she said quietly, the honest words spilling out before she could stop them. I need to get my head straight on this whole wedding thing. Megan stepped forward, her tone softening. Claire, I know how much you care about him. Maybe you should just talk to him? Be honest about how you're feeling. You deserve that. Claire felt a lump in her throat. Honesty? She whispered, almost incredulous. It was strange, realizing that honesty might have been the missing ingredient between her and Max. And do what makes you happy, Megan added. That's what you deserve. The truth of those words landed heavily in the room, echoing the very sentiment Jake had just shared moments ago. Clara's heart raced, her internal struggle clashing against the warmth of her friend's support. But what if it's too late for that? Clara exclaimed, the desperation leaking into her voice. What if the wedding is already set on course, and I've lost the chance to change things? Nothing is set in stone when it comes to love, Jake chimed in, his calm presence beside her a solid foundation. Megan nodded. It'd be better to speak up now than regret it later. You're not just marrying him, it's about being true to yourself as well. For a moment, silence filled the room, and Claire felt clarity wash over her. Could it be as simple as that? Maybe it really was time to have the conversation that had been looming over them. Just as she thought the weight was lifting, there came another ping from her phone, a message from Max. Her heart stuttered as she read the words, "We need to talk. Can you come over?" The stakes had suddenly elevated. Claire looked at Jake and Megan, the uncertainty tangling in her thoughts. She was standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap into the unknown. Will you come with me? She asked, her voice trembling with both fear and anticipation. Jake's reassuring smile gave her courage, and Megan's nod of support felt like a warm embrace. Absolutely, Jake responded. As they all gathered together, Claire couldn't help but wonder if this was the moment everything would change. With the unshakable bond of friendship anchoring her, they stepped out of the door, ready to face whatever fate had in store. What would she say to Max? Would she finally find the courage to voice her true feelings? The possibilities sat heavy on her heart, waiting to unfold in the unpredictability of the moment ahead. The drive to Max's place was tense, the quiet in the car heavy with unspoken words. Claire stared out the window, the chaos of the world outside contrasting sharply with the stillness inside her. The streets were alive with the hum of life, friends laughing together, kids playing at the park, and couples holding hands. It felt surreal. How could everyone seem so blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in her heart? Jake shifted in his seat, casting a glance at Claire. You okay? He asked softly, his voice breaking the silence like a warm light piercing through fog. Claire nodded, though she didn't believe it herself. Yeah, just a lot on my mind. She fidgeted with her phone, the message from Max still fresh in her mind. The words both terrified and excited her. Megan spoke up, her tone encouraging. Remember, this isn't just about him. It's about you too. Whatever the outcome, you deserve to speak what's in your heart. With a deep breath, Claire released some of the tension in her shoulders. Talking to Max? It was going to be hard. Every conversation they had been skirting around had built these walls between them. But walls could be knocked down, couldn't they? As they pulled up to an old Victorian-style house, Claire's heart raced. Max's home was charming, warm, just like him. But today, it felt ominous, a place where secrets weighed heavily in the air. The three of them climbed out of the car, and the sound of gravel crunching beneath their feet echoed in the stillness. Here we go, Jake said, giving her a reassuring pat on the back as he stayed close to her side. Megan walked a few steps ahead, her presence a beacon of strength. Claire hesitated at the door. The moment felt monumental. What if he doesn't? What if he's not ready? He will be, Megan assured her, glancing back over her shoulder. You deserve this conversation. Just be honest, okay? With one last breath, Claire knocked on the door. The sound felt like thunder in her ears. They waited, silence wrapping around them like a heavy blanket. A moment later, the door swung open, revealing Max. His expression flickered with surprise, quickly turning into a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Claire. I wasn't expecting you." He stepped aside, allowing her to step in. His gaze darted to Jake and Megan, confusion etching his features. "You brought friends?" Claire started, her voice faltering. She wanted to tell him they were there for support. She wanted to tell him everything. "We just thought I could use some support." Max nodded slowly, his demeanor shifting to one of concern, as he tried to piece together why Claire had come. Once inside, the warmth of the living room hosted an uncomfortable tension. Claire turned toward him, her heart racing. "Thanks for asking me to come over. I think we really need to talk." "Yeah, about the wedding?" Max's tone was casual, but Claire noticed the slightly stiff manner of his body. He was bracing himself. Another deep breath. Claire felt the words rise to her lips, blurring with anxiety and anticipation. "It's about a lot more than that." Max's brows furrowed. "Then let us talk. What's on your mind?" His voice softened, encouraged by the weight of her uncertainty. The moment hung suspended in time, like the moments before a storm broke. Everything she needed to say bubbled just beneath her skin, and for the first time, there was a flicker of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, the truth would bring them closer. But what if the truth meant breaking the very foundation of their plans? Claire clenched her fists, anxiety roaring in her chest. She had to be brave. "Max," she trailed off, her eyes searching his face. I don't know if marrying you is what I really want." The air crackled with anticipation, each word hanging like a fragile promise. Would it take everything they had built together? Would this finally unveil the truth? As she watched him process her words, Claire felt the weight of what her next step would mean. Would this be the moment they either healed or shattered apart? Claire's heart felt as if it had stopped beating, suspended in the palpable silence that filled the space. Max opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out at first. His eyes widened, confusion and a hint of heartbreak flickering across his features. I don't understand," he finally managed, stumbling over the words, trying to grasp the reality she had just thrown at him. "What do you mean, Claire? We planned everything. We're getting married." The weight of her truth sat heavily in the air, the reality of their tangled emotions crashing like waves against the shore. Time stretched, and the healthy glow of the room faded into a muted palette of uncertainty. "I know," she said softly, desperately searching for clarity amidst the chaos. "But I've spent so long thinking about what everyone else expects. What you expect. And I've lost sight of what I want. I'm scared, Max." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling beneath his calm exterior. "But we love each other, right? Isn't that enough?" Her heart clenched. Love. It was the foundation of their relationship, the very essence of everything they built. But did that love translate into a lifelong commitment? She could see the flicker of hope in his eyes turning dull, and it made her ache in a way she hadn't anticipated. "Love is important," Claire replied, her voice trembling. "But it's not the only thing. I need to be sure, Max. I want to be sure." Megan shifted her weight and placed a gentle hand on Claire's back, providing silent support. Jake's gaze darted back and forth, unsure of the tension unfolding before him. A part of Claire wished to reach out and hold Max's hand, to keep them tethered, but another part of her was firmly rooted in the ground of her own convictions. "Have you even thought about this?" Max asked, his voice rising slightly. "We've talked about our future. We've been through so much together." "I know. I thought I had it all figured out too," Claire burst out, feeling the weight of their shared memories pressing down on her. "But if I go through with this wedding, what if I wake up 5 years from now, regretting the choice I made? What if we come to resent each other?" A deep silence enveloped them, the room echoing her fears back at her. Claire looked past Max for a moment, letting her gaze rest on the photographs on the wall, images of laughter, love, memories frozen in time. It made her heart ache even more. Finally, Max broke the silence, his voice quieter, edged with vulnerability. What are you saying, Claire? Are you saying you want to call off the wedding? She hesitated, the words getting stuck in her throat. She could see the realization dawning on him, the very real possibility that she was voicing. I think we need to take a step back. I need time to figure this out. Max stepped back, his face pale, the shadow of defeat creeping in. Time? Please understand, Claire begged, tears welling in her eyes as they spilled over. This isn't about you, it's about me. I just need to know if I'm making the right choice. His eyes darkened, disappointment twisting his features. In that moment, Claire felt a sense of loss loom over her, a profound grief for the moment that was slipping away. Just then, the doorbell rang again, cutting through the heaviness. The sound broke the tension like a celestial chime. Who could that be? Jake asked, glancing toward the door, momentarily distracted from what had just transpired. Is it the florist? I thought I paid them already, Max mumbled, clearly still grappling with Claire's bombshell. But Claire felt a shiver of anticipation. Could this uninvited visitor hold the key to changing the trajectory of their conversation? Maybe it's someone who can help, she whispered to herself, her heart racing once again. Gathering her courage, Claire stepped toward the door, uncertainty mingling with a flicker of vulnerability as she reached for the handle. Would the stranger on the other side offer a glimmer of hope or more confusion? As she slowly opened the door, Claire braced herself, her heart pounding. For a moment, everything depended on what lay beyond the threshold. The future, once a straightforward path, now felt anything but certain. What awaited her on the other side? The door creaked as Claire pushed it open, revealing a gust of chilly air that seemed to make her shiver even more. Standing there was a man, disheveled but somehow charming, cradling a bouquet of messy wildflowers. His disarming smile cut through the tension in the room. Hi there. I'm looking for Claire? He said, his voice warm and inviting. That's me. Claire blinked, still processing the shock of his presence. Who are you? I'm Liam. I came to deliver these, he replied, lifting the flowers slightly as if they were a trophy. And I have a little something else for you too. It's a card, from a friend, well, a friend of a friend, actually. But let us focus on the flowers first. Max stood frozen behind her, the turmoil in his eyes mixing with curiosity. Clara's heart was still racing, a collision of emotions bubbling beneath the surface. Could it be? Did this stranger somehow have the magic elixir she needed? Liam stepped inside, his confident stride somehow alleviating the heaviness in the air. You know, these flowers might not be fancy, but he trailed off, searching for the right words. They remind me that sometimes the best things are a bit wild and imperfect. Claire couldn't help but smile. It was a nice contrast to the tension she had felt moments ago. They're beautiful, she said, brushing her fingers against the petals. The rough edges felt real, grounding, an unexpected twist in her chaotic day. Also, this card, Liam continued, handing it to her, it's meant to encourage you. Just remember, life can be surprising. Truly amazing things can come from untamed places. Clara's heart squeezed painfully as she opened the card. Inside was a simple but heartfelt note that read, "Don't let fear hold you back. Choose the path that feels right for your heart. You got this." It felt as if someone had reached into her soul and pulled out the very thought she'd been wrestling with. Max, still behind her, broke the momentary spell. "Where did you get that card?" he asked, his voice edged with disbelief. Liam shrugged nonchalantly. "A friend of mine, a recently divorced single dad, wrote little encouraging notes to encourage others going through tough times. Thought it might be helpful. You know, people helping people." Claire glanced over her shoulder at Max, searching for any sense of understanding. But instead, she found a flicker of irritation radiating from him. "Helpful? What do you know about marriage?" Max's tone was harsher than she expected. The tension was slipping back, though it came from a different source this time, but Claire felt something shift within her. She turned back to Liam. "What made you want to bring flowers and a card?" "Well," Liam chuckled softly, "I just think, sometimes words and flowers can make all the difference. I mean, my daughter loves flowers. Every time I bring them home, she lights up. It's a reminder to embrace life's little moments. Especially when everything feels heavy. In that instant, Claire felt a swell of warmth wash over her. Here was someone who understood, even in a small way, what she was processing. As she listened to Liam, she realized he was shedding light onto the very shadows she was trying to escape from. "Your daughter sounds amazing," Claire said, her voice softening. "She is," Liam replied, a hint of pride softening his features. "Just like you. You deserve what lights you up." Max stepped forward, eyes narrowing as he processed the exchange. "Claire, we need to talk about I don't know what I need, Max." She interrupted. "I'm still trying to figure it out." Liam's gaze shifted between them, sensing the tension, but instead of retreating, he stood firm. "Look, whatever you're both going through, it's tough. But change often leads to growth. Claire, listen to your heart. Don't ignore it." For the first time, Claire felt as if the weight of her uncertainty was lightening, just a little. But what did it all mean? As Liam turned to leave, he paused at the door. "Hey, you're going to be okay, Claire. Whatever choice you make, choose you." The door clicked shut behind him, leaving Claire with the bouquet in her hands and a whirlwind of thoughts in her head. Max's disappointment loomed like a storm cloud, yet amidst it all, something inside her churned with new clarity. If something as simple as flowers and a few words could stir her heart, what else waited beyond her current fears? Claire took a deep breath, feeling a pull towards something unknown yet enticing. It was time to face the doubt, to embrace the wild uncertainty ahead of her, whatever it may lead to. But just as she turned to Max, ready to find her voice again, another thought surfaced: would she really be able to choose herself this time? The air felt charged after Liam left, heavy with questions and unspoken emotions. Claire looked at Max, who crossed his arms tightly across his chest, as if bracing himself against a storm. His face was a mix of confusion and frustration, and for a moment, she struggled to reconcile her feelings with the man she had shared so much of her life with. "Claire, we need to talk," Max insisted, his voice slicing through the lingering warmth left by Liam's kindness. "About what?" Claire snapped, her own emotions surfacing. "What do you want to say that hasn't already been said?" Max opened his mouth, but the words seemed to catch in his throat, a mixture of hesitation and uncertainty. I don't even know what to say. I just can't watch you drift away from me like this." "It feels like you're the one drifting," she said, the weight of her heart pressing upon her chest. "You're so focused on your plans, your frustrations, that you can't see how I feel. You keep wanting to fix things without really listening to what I need." He stepped closer, his voice lowering, coaxing an underlying tenderness. "I want to fix us, Claire. But I can't do that if you keep acting like we're at a dead end." The bouquet of wildflowers rested delicately in her grasp, reminding her of the light Liam had brought into the room. She looked down at the petals again, tracing their rough outlines, and the whirlwind inside her buzzed with life. "What if I don't want to fix it?" Her voice was barely a whisper, but it held the weight of 1,000 unfurling possibilities. "What if I want to see what else is out there?" "What are you saying?" Max's brow furrowed, confusion giving way to alarm. "Are you saying you want to end this? To end us?" "Not just like that." Claire exhaled sharply, her heart racing. "But I need to figure out who I am without this, without you." Silence fell heavy between them, thick with the unacknowledged distance that had grown over the years. All of a sudden, the safety of familiarity felt suffocating, and she was both terrified and exhilarated. Max took a step back, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "I can't just let you walk away. We need to fight for this." "Fight for what?" Claire asked, her frustration bubbling. "For a relationship that feels more like an obligation than a partnership? I need to want to be here, not just out of habit." "Well, it shouldn't be so easy to just throw it away. We owe it to each other to at least try." Tension simmered as Claire took a deep breath, her resolve growing stronger. "Maybe trying means letting go, Max. Maybe it means embracing uncertainty." In that moment, as their eyes locked, Claire felt something shift in both of them. It wasn't just words exchanged, it was a shared recognition that they were at a turning point. Just then, her phone buzzed on the table, breaking the charged silence. She didn't recognize the number but felt pulled to check it. As she read the brief message, her heart raced again, but for a different reason. Liam? She thought, her mind flashing with possibilities. Who is it? Max asked, eyes darting toward her phone. Just a message, Claire mumbled, trying to conceal her thoughts. She didn't want to involve Max in this fledgling connection yet, not when everything was so raw. But Max was already leaning in, sensing the switch in her demeanor. It's about the flowers, isn't it? You're thinking about him. Maybe I am, Claire replied, feeling emboldened. Maybe he is the first person who has made me feel anything other than trapped in my own life. Max's expression tightened, the dismay creeping back onto his features. Are you serious right now? You're thinking of another guy at a time like this? Clara's heart thumped loudly in her ears, aware of the gravity of what she was saying. This isn't just about him, Max. It's about me choosing what feels right. No matter the consequences. The weight of their shared history pressed hard against her chest. But did she really want to risk everything she had ever known? And yet, as she glared at his reaction, she thought of Liam, the flowers, the little moments that sparkled like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Maybe it was time to embrace the unpredictable. Suddenly, the need for affirmation surged within her, and she raised her chin, ready to confront the uncertainty. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to choose me, she declared, her heartbeat steady and strong. I can't go on living for someone else anymore. Max's expression shifted, a blend of anguish and acceptance. What if it means losing me? The question hung heavily in the air, beckoning her to answer. As she opened her mouth to respond, a familiar voice, buoyant and sweet, echoed unexpectedly through the hallway. Mom! Can I see the flowers? It was Claire's daughter, and Clara's heart skipped as she realized that these moments of choice weren't just about her, they would ripple through the lives around her. Can I really choose? She wondered as she turned to face both her daughter and her own complicated heart. The uncertainty that lay ahead was daunting, but perhaps it was also filled with endless possibilities. With her daughter's innocent curiosity igniting sparks of hope, Claire felt ready to leap. But would she truly have the courage to follow through on her choices? Claire's gaze softened as she knelt to meet her daughter's sparkling blue eyes, eager and full of wonder. It was as if the weight of the conversation with Max faded, if only for a second. Can I see the flowers, Mom? Her daughter asked, bouncing slightly on her heels. The innocence in her voice cut through the tension that had enveloped Clara's heart. They smell so pretty. As Claire reached for the bouquet, she felt the petals brush against her fingers, soft and inviting. Of course, sweetheart, she replied, her voice steadier than she truly felt. She handed the flowers to her daughter, who gasped, tilting her head back to bring the vibrant blooms closer. Wow! They're just like the ones you had when you got married. The words hit Claire like a wave. Memories of her wedding day floated to the surface, mingling with the current conversation. She remembered the way Max had looked, the promises they'd made. But seeing her daughter in that moment eyes wide, with the same youthful hope Claire once felt reminded her that life was a series of choices. Can you tell me about the flowers, Mom? Did you love them? Her daughter's enthusiasm stirred something within Claire, a flicker of warmth. Yes, sweetie. They were special, Claire began, the tale spilling from her lips. Each petal held a memory of laughter and love. Of who I was then, she hesitated, glancing momentarily at Max, who stood awkwardly, arms crossed, feet shifting. Mom! Can I carry them? Her daughter pleaded, her small hands open in anticipation. Sure, just be careful, Claire said, handing the bouquet over, her heart softening at the sight of the little girl cradling the flowers as if they were precious treasures. As her daughter turned, Claire caught a glimpse of Max. His expression had shifted. The confused tightness in his features was fading, revealing a mix of vulnerability and longing as he watched their daughter embrace this moment. Max, Claire said suddenly, her heart racing again, what do you remember about our wedding flowers? He blinked, momentarily lost in thought. They were your favorite. The wildflowers, right? You said they felt free, just like us. His voice was tinged with nostalgia. Claire inhaled sharply. In that moment, nostalgia transformed quickly into something deeper, something more authentic. Do you think we can find that freedom again? She regarded him, feeling an urge to bridge the divide between them. Max opened his mouth, and for the briefest moment, there was a flicker of hope in his eyes. I want us to. But how? Before Claire could respond, their daughter twirled around, holding the flowers aloft. Look, I'm a fairy. I can fly everywhere with these. She shouted, laughter spilling from her lips, and in that sound, everything felt lighter. Claire couldn't help but laugh along, feeling a wave of love and tenderness wrapping around her. The innocence of childhood mingled with the turmoil of adulthood, creating a burst of emotion that left scars and healing under the same breath. As they watched their daughter dance in circles, the joy in the room was palpable. Yet beneath it all, Claire felt an unsettling tension simmering. It was one thing to choose herself, but what about Max? Could he be part of that choice? Did she even want him to be? Mom, her daughter called, can we plant some of these flowers in the garden? The question lingered, hanging between them. Could they really cultivate new beginnings? Clara's pulse quickened as she considered this. The potential felt almost magical, a garden of possibilities waiting to blossom. Maybe that's what we need, she mused quietly, glancing at Max, who had stepped closer. A garden, a place to grow together if we're open to it. Max nodded slowly, his expression shifting yet again. But Claire could see he was exploring this idea, filled with more questions than answers, just as she was, and deep inside her, with every breath, the worry remained. Would she be brave enough to dive back into a shared life, or was this moment only a fleeting taste of freedom? As the laughter of her little girl echoed against the walls, Claire felt her heart ache with possibilities. She wanted to find her path, but would Max be part of that journey? The moment had come, where they had to decide. Would they try to plant new roots together, or would they let this fleeting moment fade like the last blooms of summer? Claire stood there, unsure of the answer, but undeniably aware that the choice lay ahead. Claire watched her daughter spin through the living room, her little feet barely brushing the floor as she twirled under the weight of the flowers. Laughter filled the space around them, a beautiful sound that seemed to wrap them all in warmth. Yet deep within Claire, uncertainty lurked. Max moved closer, his eyes fixed on their daughter. She is so happy, he said quietly, the corner of his mouth twitching into a faint smile. That little movement broke something in Claire, something that had been stuck for too long. For a brief moment, she allowed herself to imagine what it would be like to be free with Max again, to share quiet smiles like these, building a life enriched by their daughter's joy. What if we really did plant those flowers? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Max turned to her, and she searched his face for a flicker of understanding. Is that really what you want? He asked, his brow furrowing. I think I need to know if we can grow as a family together, she admitted, feeling the tension dance between them. But I don't want to force anything. It has to be real. Max nodded, a deep look settling on his features. I don't want to rush, but maybe this is how we start. A garden, something we can nurture, something alive. Clara's heart raced with hope, mixed with hesitation. It felt like a step toward healing, yet the fear of the past clawed at her. What if nurturing meant re-examining what had broken between them? Their daughter interrupted that train of thought, clapping her hands. Can we do it now? Please, please. Max knelt beside her, grinning, and Claire couldn't help but feel the warmth spread through her heart. Watching them together, she realized how much they both had missed this closeness. Let us do it, then, Claire finally declared, borrowing courage from their daughter's enthusiasm. Together they gathered the things they needed. Her daughter skipped off to fetch gardening gloves, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Claire and Max lingered, standing side by side. Time seemed suspended, and Claire felt the weight of what was being proposed. Do you remember planting those flowers at Grandma's house? Max asked, a hint of nostalgia in his voice. Yeah. I was so proud when they bloomed, Claire replied, rekindling a spark of shared memory. And you spent hours watering them, Max chuckled. Even when your little hands got dirty, you'd smile like it was the biggest achievement. That was a long time ago, wasn't it? Claire said, her voice growing softer. Maybe it's time for another beginning, Max said, glancing toward their daughter, who was now trying to untangle the gloves on her small hands. Claire felt a tremor within her, a push toward the possibility. Just no expectations, okay? We have to take it one step at a time. Of course, he assured her, sincerity shining in his eyes. As they stepped outside, the sun beamed down, casting a golden glow that wrapped around them like a hug. Their daughter began to dig with determination, her laughter echoing against the backdrop of nature's simplicity. Watching her happiness ripple through the air, Claire felt a sense of renewal awaken within her. But with every shovelful of dirt, the reality of their shared past loomed large. Every joyous moment was a reminder of the fractures that lay beneath. She gripped the edge of the flowerbed, determination mixing with fear. Could they really plant new roots, or would this be another cycle of fleeting hope? The thought chased her as they worked together, laughter mingling with conversation, love flickering like the sunlight peeking through clouds. It all felt right, yet Clara's heart thudded with uncertainty. What happens when the first flowers start to bloom? Would they have the courage to nurture their growing garden together? And in that moment, as she watched Max and her daughter become a team, Claire realized she stood at the edge of a choice that could either flourish or falter, one that might determine their future. Would they be ready to cultivate what blossomed, or would the weeds of the past creep in? The air crackled with potential, leaving Claire breathless. Would this simple moment really lead them towards something deeper? As Claire watched her daughter dig excitedly in the soft earth, she felt an echo of hope swelling within her chest. There they were, Lucy with her tiny hands spading the soil, and Max tenaciously untangling garden tools, embodying the simple joys of togetherness. Just a few hours ago, uncertainty clouded the space between them like an impending storm. But now, seeing their little girl at work, Claire couldn't help but breathe a little easier. Mom! Dad! Look! Lucy shouted, her excitement infectious as she pulled out a tiny sprout from the earth, tiny roots shimmering like threads of gold. Max leaned down, his smile genuine. That's a beauty, kiddo. We'll nurture those every day, won't we? Claire felt warmth bloom in her heart at this sight, the easy camaraderie and connection that had once felt so distant. For Claire, the flowers represented more than just new beginnings in the garden. They symbolized an opportunity to redefine what family meant to her. Max caught her gaze, and for a moment, both hearts seemed to recognize the shift, a quiet acknowledgement that perhaps, just maybe, they could grow together again. As they worked, conversations flowed like the gentle breeze that wrapped around them. Claire shared memories from her childhood, how her mother had taught her to cultivate gardens filled with wildflowers, each bloom a reminder of freedom and joy. Max engaged, sharing snippets of his own past, a childhood filled with laughter, where he had learned the value of patience and care in nurturing life. Maybe we can create our own wildflower garden here, just like your mom did, he suggested, a hint of nostalgia in his voice. Tears misted Clara's eyes as she realized this wasn't just about protecting their daughter's innocence, but about embracing their own histories to shape a brighter future. As the last sunlight dipped below the horizon, the gentle dusk wrapped them in a tender cocoon. Their hands, once burdened with doubts and fears, now worked in unison. They planted seed after seed, and with every sprout nestled into the soil, Claire felt the weight of expectations lift. It was liberating finding moments of laughter between them that eased the constraint of past misunderstandings. Those weeds have nothing on the beauty we're planting here, Max said with a gentle chuckle as he tossed aside a weed while Lucy clapped and giggled. Yeah. Those weeds can't mess with our flowers. Lucy squealed, and at that, both Claire and Max exchanged a knowing glance, a shared understanding in their smiles. They were trying to build something beautiful. Together. Days turned into weeks, and the little garden flourished, much like their newfound relationship. They embraced mornings filled with laughter, family dinners sprinkled with silliness, and movie nights that reminded them of their foundations as individuals and as a family unit. Meanwhile, Claire continued to take the time to explore her own passions, redefining her sense of self beyond the wedding plans. Claire had confronted her fears, and in doing so, she allowed Max to do the same. They addressed their missteps and learned to communicate openly, learning to listen to each other's aspirations and fears without judgment. It was a delicate balance, but slowly, they built a thriving friendship that rested upon deeper understanding and respect. One sunny Saturday afternoon, as they tended to the garden, Lucy darted over, her little feet patting softly on the ground. Look, guys. The flowers are almost ready to bloom. Her tiny fingers pointed at the burgeoning petals, a vibrant riot of colors dancing under the sun's rays. They knelt together, hands brushing against the earth, marveling at their creation. In that moment, Claire felt a warm surge of gratitude wash over her. This was not just a garden, it was a testament to resilience, love, and choices made with intention. "Can we have a picnic here, too?" Lucy asked, her eagerness igniting a ripple of laughter. "Absolutely," Max replied, leaning down to give her a playful nudge. As Claire smiled, she felt a sense of peace settle over her heart. They were replanting the pieces of a life once fraught with expectations into one of wild possibility. Each moment spent cultivating the garden mirrored their journey of rediscovering what it truly meant to connect as a family, and as they spread the picnic blanket amidst the flowers, Claire knew this transformation was only beginning. They had stepped beyond fear and opened the door to the richness of love, unshackled from the weight of perfection. Now, they could grow, bloom, and thrive together. In that sweet sanctuary of wildflowers, under the bright blue sky, Claire embraced the unknown with courage. They were all still learning, and that was enough. "Mom! This is the best day ever!" Lucy beamed as Claire and Max exchanged looks of pure joy, hearts synchronized in harmony. Perhaps it was time to celebrate every imperfect flower, every small choice that led them here. Together, they could brave the uncertainties of tomorrow, and Claire finally felt hope blooming once more. And now, standing amidst the garden of possibilities, she made a silent promise to herself, to nurture love in all its forms, to stay true to who she was not just as a mother or a partner but as a whole individual ready to embrace all the colors of her life. And now it's your turn to join the journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now, because this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.